For me, I think the biggest thing that football taught me was how to overcome adversity.
At some point in your life, you're going to have some tough times.
You have to have that next play mentality.
That cohesiveness and that working together, that's really something special that you can't get in a lot of other areas.
When you practice that and you live that in other phases of your life, it becomes second nature because all you know how to do is fight.
It's not an easy game. If it were easy, everyone would do it.
You start to appreciate the smaller contributions that people make. You don't just look at the big one because you knew it took 6 or 7 other guys who are unsung.
And you can't take shortcuts and be successful.
Doing what they do to make it possible for the guy getting the press clippings or whatever it might be.
In this game, whether it's as a coach or a player.
So I would certainly say that you definitely got a very quick lesson in how to overcome adversity playing football.
Welcome to FootballGameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook, bringing you our preview of the College Football Playoff semifinal, which takes place at the 2016 Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl between the Washington Huskies and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now let's start this video off by taking a look at our keys to victory. First, let's start with the Washington Huskies in this ball game. They have to avoid the Mike Tyson syndrome that many teams fall victim to when they're playing Alabama. A lot of times teams are beat before they even hit the field, thinking that, oh my God, this is Alabama. They're supposed to be this good. This is a mythical godlike creature or team. You can't have that syndrome. You can't have that mindset going into a big ball game. This is another team, different uniform, different colors. Go out there and play your game. And also they have to make it a one-on-one game on the perimeter. They have to spread Bama out and make plays consistently on the outside. I think they have the talent, the perimeter talent to do so, not only just on offense, but also on defense. If they can find a way to stop the run and make this a perimeter game, in my opinion, that favors the Washington Huskies. But offensively speaking, if they can make this a one-on-one game, trusting their perimeter talent at receiver against the defensive backs of Alabama, that's a game I think Washington can win. They can't try to beat Bama by trying to beat Bama. A lot of times you'll see teams come in with this mindset like, hey, we're going to be physical, we're going to be tough, we're going to match that physicality, we're going to match their toughness, we're going to try to beat them at their own game. No, that's the fastest way to get blown out by Bama. So play your game. That's why you're in the Peach Bowl. That's why you're in the playoffs, by playing Washington Huskies football. And if they can do that in this contest, they have a great chance of coming away victorious. Moving on to Alabama in this ball game, the Tide secondary has to be able to win those one-on-one matchups on the outside. We saw Clemson give this football team problems last year in the championship game, throwing the football vertically down the field, and Washington has receivers that are shorter, quicker, and are able to win short, intermediate, or deep down the field. So that very good secondary of Alabama has to be able to win one-on-one on the outside. And slow and steady wins the race for Alabama. They have to avoid the temptation of trying to get outside of what they do well in an attempt to try to blow out this team early in the first quarter. They have to do what got them here, dance with whom you brought to the party, and that's their running game, that's their dynamic quarterback, Jalen Hurts, and that's also playing very good defense. Don't do anything overly creative early to try to blow out Washington. Otherwise, you can find yourself down on the scoreboard. And Jalen Hurts, the true freshman quarterback, has to play like a senior in the playoffs. You want to see him raise his level of play, avoid those costly mistakes, avoid mental errors, play efficient, effective, safe football, and then when it calls for it, be dynamic. I think if he can do that, if he can start to play like a senior, quote unquote, I think Alabama has a really good chance to come away with the win against Washington. The biggest X factor in this game for Washington will be the play of their defensive front seven. They're going to not only have to stop the run, but they also have to do a great job of applying pressure. And this is a unique situation where they can't just fly up the football field or blitz and try to get pressure on Jalen Hurts, because he is an athletic quarterback that can't get outside the pocket and really do a lot of damage on the ground with his legs. So they're going to have to get push versus pressure, be gap responsible versus the run, and those linebackers like Song Wu-Ching and company will have to step up, make plays at or behind the line of scrimmage. And for Alabama in this ball game, their receiving core, I think, will have to play the biggest role in this ball game. I think that's the biggest X factor for Alabama. When you look at what Washington brings to the table from a secondary standpoint, you have to like the matchup with Alabama's receiving core, or Darius Stewart, Calvin Ridley, even Garrick Dieter, I think is a really good wide receiver. Those guys can win one-on-one battles and one-on-one matchups, and if they can get open against that coverage, find soft spots not only in the zone but also beat man coverage and show themselves open quickly to Jalen Hurts, then they can have some success. So I think the biggest X factor for the Crimson Tide will be how well they're able to play on the perimeter, most importantly with their wide receivers. Now here's a look at some of the 2017 NFL draft prospects you want to keep an eye on in this bowl game, and we've only included senior prospects because we know there's a ton of junior and redshirt sophomore talent in this ball game that have yet to make their decision one way or the other. But when you look at the seniors on this list, Kevin King, an outstanding corner for the Washington Huskies, 6'3", 192. Reuben Foster is the best linebacker in college football and has been, and we've talked about him since he was an incoming freshman to this Alabama program, along with Tim Williams, the outstanding edge rusher, O.J. Howard, a very good tight end that can block as well as he can catch, which makes him an outstanding NFL prospect. I like Alabama in this ball game. I think this will be a closely contested Peach Bowl. A lot of people are not giving the Washington Huskies a ton of credit. This is the thing. Washington does one thing very well that gives Alabama problems. They're able to spread the field, and they are not afraid to attack vertically down the field. Clemson gave them problems with that last year. You look at a team like Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and people also forget that Alabama plays a lot of close games. So if Washington can come in this ball game not afraid of Alabama pregame, I think they'll make this one close, and I think that'll happen. They'll take their shots deep down the field, but I think this game will ultimately come down to front seven play, and I think that's where Alabama has the advantage. And I look at the fact that they're not only able to stop the run, but also, and most importantly, against the Washington Huskies, they can apply pressure on the quarterback, which will disrupt that Huskies passing game more so than often. I think you'll see that pressure start to kick up around the third or fourth quarter, and that's when Alabama will slowly start to snatch victory away from Washington, ultimately winning the game.